He tightened his grip on her carry-on like it was already his decision. "Stop," she said, low but sharp, pulling back. Her voice cracked only slightly, and she hated that it did. They were standing in the airport lounge, glass walls glowing with soft light, leather chairs filled with people pretending not to hear. The boarding announcement echoed overhead. His flight, not hers. "You're being dramatic," Marcus said, leaning closer, his smile tight. "We talked about this. You're coming with me." "I said I'm not," Imani replied. Her chest felt tight, the way it always did when he decided a conversation was over before it began. He laughed under his breath, the sound meant to make her feel small. "You're really doing this here?" She glanced around. A woman stirred her coffee. A man looked up, then back at his phone. No one moved. Marcus's hand slid from the bag to her wrist, firm, possessive. "Let's go." Her pulse spiked. "Don't touch." "Me?" The words hung there, naked. That was when the chair scraped back behind them. A man stood. He hadn't rushed. That was the unnerving part. He walked over with the calm of someone who knew exactly how this would end. Dark coat, tailored, face unreadable, Korean. His eyes flicked once to Marcus's hand on her wrist, then back to Marcus's face. "She said no," he said. Not loud, not threatening. Final. Marcus scoffed. "Who the hell are you?" The man didn't answer right away. He looked at Imani instead, not with pity, not with curiosity, but with recognition, like he was checking a fact. "Are you traveling with him?" he asked. "No," she said immediately. The man nodded once, then he looked back at Marcus. "Then you're done." Marcus laughed again, sharper this time. "This is none of your business." The man tilted his head slightly. "You made it public." Something in his tone made Marcus hesitate. The room felt different now. Too quiet. Security shifted at the edge of the lounge. Still didn't move. Marcus released her wrist, hard enough to sting. "This isn't over," he muttered to her, then shot the man a look. "You don't know who you're dealing with." The man's lips curved just slightly. "I know enough." Marcus walked away. Imani stood there, hands shaking, adrenaline crashing all at once. The man stepped back, giving her space. "You should sit," he said. Then he turned and left, returning to his seat like nothing had happened. She watched him for a long second, heart still racing. He didn't look back. She thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. 2 days later, Koreatown buzzed the way it always did, neon signs humming, languages folding over each other, a rhythm she wasn't used to but felt drawn into anyway. Imani stepped into a quiet cafe to escape the afternoon heat, ordered something she mispronounced, and turned, and there he was. Seated by the ewe-spire window, black coffee untouched, eyes lifting to meet hers as if he'd expected her. Her stomach flipped. Annoyance, relief, curiosity, all tangled. "You," she said before she could stop herself. He stood, polite. "You're all right?" She hesitated. "Yes, I think so." Good. That was it. No smile, no follow-up. And somehow that made her want to say more. "Thank you," she added, "for the other night." "You didn't need permission," he replied. "For what?" "To say no." She studied him then. Close up, he was more striking than she'd registered. Controlled, dangerous, in a quiet way. "Most people don't step in." He shrugged lightly. "Most people aren't affected." "That's it?" she asked. "You just don't like injustice?" A pause, then, "I don't like men who forget themselves." Something in the way he said it sent heat up her spine. "I'm Imani," she said. "Min-jae." They stood there, the air charged, neither moving away. "You live around here?" she asked. "Yes. I don't. I know." That made her laugh despite herself. "Do you always know things?" "Only the important ones." She should have walked away then. Instead, she sat. They talked. About nothing that mattered and everything that did. He listened more than he spoke. When he did speak, it was precise. No wasted words. No apologies. She noticed people greeting him when they passed, not friendly, respectful. "So what do you do, Min-jae?" she asked finally. He met her gaze, held it. "I handle problems." Her pulse jumped. That sounds vague. It's meant to. A beat, a look that lingered just a second too long. Her phone buzzed. Marcus. Again. Min-jae noticed her expression shift. Is that him? Yes. Has he stopped? No. Min-jae's jaw tightened, barely perceptible. If he comes near you again, tell me. That's not your responsibility. I know. The way he said it made her feel something dangerous and warm. They stood to leave together, the street loud and alive outside. You're different, she said. He glanced at her. So are you. Their hands brushed. Electricity snapped between them. Neither pulled away immediately. Be careful, he said softly. With him, she replied. With me, he corrected. She swallowed. That night, lying awake, she realized something terrifying. For the first time, being protected didn't feel like losing herself. It felt like being seen. And if you want to know how far that protection goes, how desire and danger start to blur, and what happens when Marcus makes the mistake of following her into Koreatown, stay with this story. If you're watching this and you already feel it, like the video, subscribe, and drop a comment because the next part is where everything escalates. Imani didn't answer Marcus's message. She muted the thread and slipped her phone face down on the nightstand, but sleep didn't come easily. Min-jae's voice lingered instead. Calm, certain, the way he had looked at her like she wasn't fragile, just present, like he'd already decided something about her and was waiting for her to catch up. The next morning, she woke to 3 missed calls from Marcus. By noon, it was 6. She went about her day anyway, grocery store, dry cleaning, normal life. Except, nothing felt normal anymore. Every time someone walked too close, her shoulders tensed. Every black SUV made her stomach dip. By the time she reached Koreatown again that evening, she hadn't meant to. Her feet just took her there. She spotted Min-jae outside a low-lit restaurant, speaking quietly to another man. The conversation ended the moment Min-jae saw her. The other man nodded and left without looking back. You follow people often? Min-jae asked as she approached. She scoffed. I could ask you the same thing. He studied her face. You look tired. That obvious? Yes. She hesitated, then said it. He's been calling. Min-jae didn't react immediately. That pause scared her more than anger would have. Has he come near you? No. Good. The words sounded like a promise. They walked inside together. No hand-holding, no claim, but everyone noticed. She felt it in the way conversations softened, the way eyes slid away from her, then back to him. Over dinner, she learned more without him telling her much at all. He paid without looking at the bill. People deferred without question. When someone brushed past her too closely, Min-jae's hand landed at the small of her back, firm and warm, guiding her away. The touch lingered half a second longer than necessary. Her breath caught. He noticed. You're tense, he murmured. I don't like feeling watched. You are? He said simply, but not how you think. She turned to face him. Explain. Not everyone who looks at you wants something from you. And you? She asked, heart pounding. He met her gaze, eyes dark. I want clarity. She laughed softly, nerves buzzing. That's not an answer. It's the only honest one. Outside, night wrapped Koreatown in neon and shadow. They stood too close now. She could smell his cologne, something subtle and expensive. He leaned in slightly, not touching. You don't scare easily, he said. I scare myself plenty. A corner of his mouth lifted. Good. Her phone buzzed again. She didn't look this time. He's persistent, Min-jae said, more statement than question. He hates being ignored. So do most men who confuse control for affection. That hit something raw. You sound like you've seen this before, she said. I've ended it before. Her stomach flipped. Ended how? Min-jae didn't answer. He took a step back instead. Space. Choice. Imani, he said quietly. If you stay around me, things change. In what way? You stop being invisible. She swallowed. And the cost? A beat. People don't forget you once they notice you. She thought of Marcus, his temper, his pride, his need to win. Can I ask you something? She said. Yes, why did you help me? Min-jae's gaze didn't waver. Because you were cornered. That's it. No, he admitted, because you didn't beg. Something warm unfurled in her chest. They stood there, the tension thick, unsaid things pressing in. "I should go," she said finally. He nodded. "I'll walk you." They stopped at her car. The city hummed around them. "This is where I say thank you again?" she asked. "This is where you decide," he replied. "Decide what?" "If you want this to end here." She searched his face, saw restraint, control, desire held tightly in check. "And if I don't?" "Then you come back tomorrow." A challenge, an invitation. She stepped closer, close enough that her breath brushed his jaw. "Tomorrow, then." His eyes darkened, his hand lifted, stopped inches from her face, then dropped. "Be careful tonight," he said. "With Marcus? With yourself." She drove home with her heart racing. Marcus showed up the next day. Not at her apartment. That would have been too obvious. He waited outside her job instead, leaning against her car like he still belonged there. "You really think ignoring me makes this over?" he said as she approached. Her pulse spiked, but she kept her voice steady. "Move." "You think that guy scares me?" Marcus sneered. "You don't know who you're playing with." She smiled then, small, dangerous. "Actually, I do." Marcus's phone rang. He glanced at it, his face drained of color. He looked at her, something like fear flickering across his eyes. "What did you do?" She stepped past him. "I chose not to be alone." That night, she went back to Koreatown. Min-jae was waiting. "You handled that well," he said. "You knew he was there." "Yes." "You didn't stop him." "No, you needed to." She exhaled, adrenaline buzzing. "This feels like a line I can't uncross." He stepped closer. "You crossed it the moment you said no in that airport." Their faces were inches apart now. The air crackled. "If I kiss you," she said softly, "everything changes." Min-jae leaned in, his lips hovering just shy of hers. "Everything already has." He didn't kiss her. That was worse. And if you're feeling that tension right now, stay with me, because in the next part, Marcus makes a fatal mistake, and Min-jae stops playing patient. Like the video, subscribe, and comment if you're still here, because the story is only getting deeper. Imani didn't tell Min-jae what Marcus had said. On the phone, she didn't need to. He already knew something had shifted. She could see it in the way his attention stayed on her longer that night, in the way his phone buzzed once, and he silenced it without looking. "You're not used to being watched like this," he said as they walked, the street alive around them. "I'm used to being watched," she replied, "just not noticed." He glanced at her. "There's a difference." They stopped outside a quiet bar tucked between a karaoke spot and a closed storefront. Inside, the music was low, the lighting dim. Min-jae chose a booth in the back without asking. No one questioned it. Imani slid in across from him. Their knees brushed. Neither moved away. "You didn't answer me earlier," she said. "Which question? Why you're so sure Marcus won't cross you?" Min-jae leaned back slightly, because men like him only understand strength when it's reflected back at them. "And you?" she asked. What do you understand?" He studied her, slow and deliberate. "Pressure." Her breath hitched. "You keep saying things like that." "Because you keep asking." A server arrived. Min-jae ordered without a menu. When the drinks came, he pushed one toward her. "I didn't say I wanted this," she said. "You didn't say you didn't." She took a sip. "You're very confident." "No," he corrected. "I'm very careful." Then that should have made her relax. It didn't. It made her lean in. "You know what people think you are?" she asked. "Yes." "They say you're dangerous." A pause. "They're not wrong." Her pulse raced. "Does that scare you?" "No," he said softly. "Does it scare you?" She didn't answer right away. The truth hovered between them, heavy and electric. Marcus called again. This time she answered. "What do you want?" she said, voice cold. "You think you've won?" Marcus snapped. "You think hiding behind him changes anything?" Min-jae's eyes lifted, sharp now. "I'm not hiding," she replied. "I'm done." "You belong with me," Marcus hissed. "You always come back." She smiled faintly. "Not this time." She hung up and set the phone down. Min-jae didn't ask what was said. He reached across the table instead, his fingers brushing hers. A question, not a claim. She didn't pull away. "You're shaking," he observed. "Because this feels like standing at the edge of something." He laced his fingers loosely with hers. "You don't fall unless you choose to." The intimacy of it stole her breath more than any kiss would have. The restraint, the promise. "I don't want to be controlled," she said quietly. "I don't want to control you," he replied just as quietly. "I want you aware." "Aware of what?" "Of who stands with you." Her thumb brushed over his knuckles. "And if I don't want that anymore?" "Then you walk away," he said, "and nothing follows you." She searched his face for deception, found none. That honesty was terrifying. Outside, a voice rose, angry, familiar. Marcus. He was across the street shouting now, reckless, drawing attention. Wrong neighborhood. Wrong tone. Min-jae's hand tightened around hers for the first time. "Stay here," he said. "No," she said immediately, standing. "I won't be hidden." Something like approval flickered in his eyes. They stepped outside together. Marcus froze when he saw them side by side. "So this is it?" Marcus barked. "You think this guy owns this place?" Min-jae didn't raise his voice. "You're causing a disturbance." "You don't scare me," Marcus sneered. "You think money makes you untouchable?" Min-jae stepped closer, invading Marcus's space with lethal calm. "No," he said. "People do." Men began appearing, not suddenly, just there, watching, waiting. Marcus's bravado cracked. "You think this ends here?" "Yes," Min-jae said. "It does." Marcus looked at Imani, desperation flashing. "You're really choosing this?" She met his gaze, steady. "I'm choosing myself." Marcus backed away, muttering, then turned and left, disappearing down the street. Silence settled. Imani exhaled shakily. Min-jae turned to her. "Are you all right?" She nodded. "You didn't threaten him." "I didn't need to." The realization sent a shiver through her. Back inside, the air between them was different now, charged, earned. "You crossed a line for me," she said. "You crossed it first," he replied. She stepped closer, her hand resting on his chest. His heart was steady beneath her palm. "If I stay," she said, voice barely above a whisper, "I don't want half-truths." "Then don't accept them." Their faces were inches apart. His breath warmed her skin. "Min-jae," she murmured. "Yes." "Kiss me." He hesitated, just long enough to make it unbearable. Then his hand slid to her waist, grounding, claiming nothing. Their lips met, slow and deliberate, heat building in restraint rather than hunger. When they pulled back, both breathing hard, nothing felt casual anymore. "This changes things," she said. "Yes," he agreed. "Now you're inside the storm. And if you're still here, feeling that tension, don't go anywhere. The next part is where loyalty is tested, danger sharpens, and desire stops being safe. Like the video, subscribe and comment if you're still watching. The end is coming, and it doesn't pull punches. Imani didn't go home that night. She told herself it was because it was late, because Koreatown felt safer than the quiet streets near her apartment, because Min-jae had already arranged for someone to bring her car later. All of that was true. None of it was the real reason. The real reason was the way his hand had stayed at her waist after the kiss, not possessive, not demanding, just present. Like if she stepped away, it would be because she chose to, not because he released her. They walked together, close but not touching, the city humming around them, neon reflected off glass and pavement, wrapping the night in color. When they reached a private elevator tucked behind an unmarked door, Min-jae pressed a button without looking at her. "You don't have to come up," he said. "I know," she replied. The doors closed. The silence inside was heavy, charged. The elevator rose smoothly, each floor ticking past like a countdown. When it stopped, Min-jae stepped aside to let her out first. His place was quiet, controlled, minimal, no excess, no softness either. It felt lived in, but carefully. Like him. "You're tense again," he observed. She laughed softly, dropping her bag. "You keep saying that." Because it keeps being true. She turned to face him. This isn't easy for me. I didn't think it would be. And yet you keep pulling me closer. He stepped toward her, stopping just short. I'm responding to what you ask for. Her breath caught. And what do you think I'm asking for? His gaze dropped to her mouth, then back to her eyes. To stop pretending you don't want to be held. The honesty knocked the air from her lungs. She crossed the distance between them and kissed him again, this time with intent. His hands slid to her hips, steadying her, grounding her. The kiss deepened, slow and consuming, heat building without urgency. When they broke apart, foreheads touching, he whispered, "If we continue, there's no pretending this is casual." "I don't want casual," she said. "Good." They didn't go further than that. The restraint felt deliberate, almost ceremonial. When she finally slept, it was in his bed, fully clothed, his arm heavy and warm around her waist, protective without trapping her. She woke to the sound of voices, low, male, Korean. Her eyes snapped open, heart racing. She slid out of bed quietly, pausing near the door. Min-jae's voice was calm, controlled, but there was an edge to it now. "He came here?" Min-jae said, a reply she couldn't understand. A pause, then in English, Min-jae said, "He doesn't get a warning." Imani stepped into the doorway. Min-jae turned immediately, his expression shifting. "You're awake." "Who came here?" she asked. He dismissed the other man with a look. The door closed softly. "Marcus tried to ask questions," Min-jae said. Her stomach dropped. "About me?" "Yes." "And?" He was told to stop. "That's it?" she pressed. "For now?" She folded her arms. "I told you I didn't want half-truths." He approached her slowly, then listened carefully. He went to the wrong people. He tried to make noise. That makes him careless. Fear flickered through her. "I don't want him hurt." Min-jae cupped her face gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. "I won't hurt him for wanting you back." "For what, then?" "For refusing to let go." She swallowed. "This is the part where I'm supposed to run, right?" "Yes," he said honestly. "It would be safer. And if I don't?" His thumb brushed her cheek. "Then you trust me." That word, trust, it settled deep in her chest. She nodded once, then no more decisions without me. A beat. Then he nodded. Agreed. Later that day, she went to work like everything was normal. It wasn't. People stared longer. Conversations stopped when she walked by. Marcus didn't show up. That scared her more than his presence ever had. That evening, Min-jae picked her up himself. "You're changing the pattern," she said as she got into the car. "Yes." "Why?" "Because you matter." The simplicity of it made her chest ache. They drove through Koreatown as night fell. When they stopped at a light, she reached over, lacing her fingers with his. "This still scares me," she admitted. "It should," he said. "Anything worth keeping does." She smiled faintly. "You always talk like this is temporary." His grip tightened slightly. "I don't invest temporarily." The words sent heat through her. When they arrived back at his place, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, jaw tightening. "What is it?" she asked. Marcus made another mistake. Her heart pounded. "What kind?" "He followed you." A chill swept through her. "Tonight?" "Yes." She took a breath. Then I don't want to hide." Min-jae looked at her for a long moment, something like pride and concern warring in his eyes. "Then stay close to me," he said. She stepped into his space willingly. "I already am." Outside, Koreatown pulsed, unaware that lines were being drawn, that something fragile and dangerous was taking shape between them. And if you're still here, feeling that pull between fear and desire, stay with me. The final part is where everything comes due. Like the video, subscribe, and comment if you want to see how this ends. Imani felt Marcus before she saw him. The air shifted when she stepped onto the sidewalk outside Min-jae's building. The street was busy, loud with late-night movement, but there he was, leaning against a car that didn't belong to him, eyes locked on her like he'd been waiting. "You really don't know when to quit," she said, stopping short. Marcus smiled, thin and desperate. "I just wanted to talk." Min-jae moved instantly, positioning himself beside her, close enough that she could feel his heat, not in front of her, beside her. A choice, not a shield. You've said enough, Min-jae told Marcus calmly. Marcus laughed, but there was panic under it now. You think standing there makes you untouchable? Min-jae tilted his head. No, I think standing there makes you irrelevant. That did it. Marcus lunged forward, not at Min-jae, but at her, reaching like he still believed she belonged within his grasp. Min-jae moved faster. His hand caught Marcus's wrist midair, twisting just enough to stop him without spectacle. Don't, Min-jae said quietly. The street seemed to hold its breath. Marcus hissed through clenched teeth. You don't get to decide this. Min-jae leaned in close enough that only Marcus could hear him. I already did. Something passed between them. Something final. Marcus yanked his arm free and stumbled back, eyes darting to the men who had appeared at the edges of the block. Not threatening. Watching. He looked at Imani one last time, rage giving way to something smaller. You'll regret this. She met his gaze, steady. No, you will. Marcus turned and disappeared into the night. Imani's knees went weak. As the adrenaline drained, Min-jae's hand found her lower back immediately, grounding her. You okay? He asked, voice low. She nodded, then shook her head. I don't know. I think so. He guided her inside without another word. Once the door closed, the quiet hit her hard. She pressed her palms to her eyes, breathing through the aftershock. Min-jae waited, giving her space, watching carefully. You could have stopped him earlier, she said finally. Yes. Why didn't you? Because you needed to finish it. She looked at him, surprised. You let it play out. I let you choose, he corrected. I won't take that from you. Something in her chest broke open. She crossed the room and wrapped her arms around him, burying her face against his shoulder. He stiffened for a second, then relaxed, holding her fully this time. Not careful, not restrained. I don't feel weak, she said into his chest. You're not. I feel safe. His hand tightened slightly at her back. That's not something I offer lightly. She pulled back enough to look at him. Neither do I. They stood there, the weight of everything settling between them. The danger, the desire, the choice. What happens now? She asked. Now, he said, brushing his thumb along her jaw. You decide what stays. She leaned into the touch. And you? I stay, he replied, if you want me to. The simplicity of it stole her breath. She kissed him, then, slow and certain, no hesitation left. His response was immediate, deep, controlled hunger, finally allowed to surface. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, nothing felt uncertain anymore. Days passed, then weeks. Marcus didn't call again. Imani's life shifted quietly. Doors opened, invitations came. People listened when she spoke. Not because Min-jae announced her, but because his presence rewrote how the world approached her. She didn't shrink into him. She expanded beside him. One night, standing on the balcony overlooking Koreatown, neon painting the city below, she asked the question that had been circling her mind. What am I to you? She asked. Min-jae didn't answer immediately. He stepped behind her instead, hands resting at her waist, steady and warm. You are not a secret, he said. You are not a complication. You are a choice I make every day. Her throat tightened. And if your world pushes back? Then it adjusts, he replied without hesitation. She turned in his arms, studying his face. You're serious. I don't do anything else. She smiled, something soft and real. Neither do I. They stood there together, city alive beneath them, danger no longer looming, but acknowledged, understood. For the first time, Imani felt something she hadn't known she was missing. Not rescue, not control, partnership. And if you stayed to the end of this story, if you felt that tension, that choice, that shift, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me what part stayed with you the most. Because sometimes the night everyone looks away is the night everything finally changes, and this story was only the beginning.